I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like...
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and listening to Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week in Austin. This is the offseason, and the draft hasn't happened yet, but to me, this is when trade rumors start flying, but I do think there is some validity, and I do think it happens before the season of A.J. Brown not being on the Eagles in August.
Yeah, there is a conversation. You and I have different views on it. Howie Roseman says that he won't trade A.J. Brown. Now, that is not a reason why I don't think that's going to happen, because I don't think you should trust GMs or coaches when it comes to any trade talk. Why would they say they're going to trade a guy? Just in case the trade falls through, right, and you don't find a trade suitor, well, then you just kind of made one guy even more mad and kept him on your team. So that's the worst case scenario. So they're never going to outright say they're going to trade somebody. But at the same time, I don't think Dontavian Wicks is here to replace A.J. Brown. I think he's here to replace John Dotson. But there are other guys that are going to have question marks around them on this team. And Jalen Hurts is one of them because he didn't have the greatest year last year. But A.J. Brown definitely with his he made it very known that he was not necessarily happy during the entirety of the season. And the Eagles have been receiving calls for him during this offseason and during last season. But I don't think he ends up getting traded. I think that he is still very competent in that offense. He only had 5 less yards in 2 less games than Devonta Smith. He had the most targets on the team, the most receptions on the team. Sure, he's not a clear-cut number one receiver on the team, but he is 1A. And I think he understands how good Devonta Smith is, and I think he's just mad with the lack of production of the Eagles' offense from last season, not the fact that he wasn't getting overwhelmingly more targets than Devonta Smith.
Yeah, and to me, Smith and Brown offer different attacks as wide receivers.
Which is why I think they should keep both of them.
Well, and that's why, to me, what is happening, there's always been this conflict over the past few seasons of Brown getting frustrated about his targets, the offense not doing well. And I think this is the point of either you change the offense, and because to me, he does have moments, but he's not the guy they're going to on that big play. To me, that's Saquon or getting that big touchdown like he was when he first got there. He was that deep threat. Hurts was throwing the deep ball, and Hurts may not be throwing because it's not there. But I do think this tension is not good, and the Eagles are just going to go, we're done with it. And their offense was bad. To me, they're going to focus more on the running game, and then the running game is first with Philadelphia. Then the passing game is secondary to that. It's still important, but their main goal is the run game, especially when you have Saquon and Jalen Hurts. So I could see them moving A.J. Brown and drafting another wide receiver to develop into someone that could help replace A.J. Brown's threat. Because you're not going to replace his production, but you're going to get a player that alters the defense similar to what A.J. Brown would do.
I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, I don't think the answer is losing your 1A receiver after your offense gets worse. Now, obviously, I don't blame – look, Jalen Hurts didn't play great, but the OC really was the major problem for me. And I think that change is something that's a little bit more important, in my opinion. So I do wonder how the Eagles are going to be this year. They have they're going to need to change their offensive system. And they're going to have a new offense coordinator. I just had to look up to who it is. I knew it was a new one, but it's Sean Mannion. He was hired in January of 2026. He played, obviously, as a quarterback. And I think he's going to be a substantially better OC. And I think it's unfair to not give the OC a chance to have A.J. Brown to work with. Now, you can still trade him midseason, and because of the player A.J. Brown is, even though midseason trades are not necessarily the most popular thing in the NFL, he's still going to be an attractive target for people. So if he's still wanting to move on in week 5, week 6, week 7, you can still do it. But I think that I would let him try to build the offense with A.J. Brown in mind. I think that it's also unfair for a number of reasons, because if you're the OC and you don't know if he's going to get traded, well, then you have to build schemes for if he's going to be there or not be there, because like you mentioned, they are different receivers between Devonta Smith and him, and you can't really replace A.J. Brown in this draft with the pick they have. So I do think that the Eagles are going to stick with the roster they have, at least the wide receiver core they have. They may add a guy in the draft, but I don't think they get rid of A.J. Brown. I don't think that's necessarily the best course of action for this organization.
You make a good point of, I don't know if it's the best because it hurts you right now, but it does. To me, there's an issue right now in the locker room and that tension between Brown and the coaching staff. There were a lot of antics last year, and even the year before when he had a book on he was leaving clues. And to me, that's where you make a decision. I see Howie Roseman wanting to trade Brown before the season so he can prepare. Mannion can prepare for what the offense will look like and doesn't have to change it mid-season, because to me you trade Brown mid-season because you're not doing well. So you're going to have to make a quick fix anyway. And if they're doing well, I feel like they wouldn't trade Brown because they don't want to mess with doing well, even if he is having those moments of frustration on the sideline.
Well, yeah, and I agree. I don't think he gets traded. I think that they may not run the ball as much, at least with Hurts this upcoming season with Manny as the OC. We'll obviously have to see how he decides to run his offense, because he's never really been an OC in the NFL before. But I do wonder if they will kind of move away from that, whether it's health reasons or also to kind of get more passing plays. Sure, they're still going to have the tush push. That's never going away. I'm not saying that's going away, but I'm saying designed outside runs for Jalen Hurts, I do think may go by the wayside. Now the scramble plays will still happen, but those aren't design run plays. I don't know if Mannion. I don't know how Mannion wants to be an OC. I think that's something that I think a lot of people. Some people remember him. He made 3 starts in the NFL. He played for a number of teams. The Rams, Vikings to be the major 2, but I do the first time as a OC, I think kind of will be a little bit. I don't know. The fans want to see how you're going to be before they make an opinion on you, and I think I would want to give him the best chance of success, and I think that's with having AJ Brown on the roster.
I don't disagree, but one conflict could be you have a new OC and your AJ Brown is a great player, but there is also that personality piece, and he could be conflicting, especially with someone that is new to the offense, and that could just alter Mannion's vision of it because he's trying to appease Brown. So that's why I do think he gets traded, and another team wants to go heavy on the pass and makes a trade for Brown.
Yeah. I could see it. I mean, I could definitely see him getting traded. I'm not saying that it's impossible for him to get traded, but at that point, I don't know how I could accurately assume how good of an OC Sean Mannion is if you're making this drastic change. Now, definitely, it's going to be different if there's more time behind it. This could be a draft day trade. I know you mentioned the Patriots as suitors. Are there any other suitors that you think could potentially be of interest?
Maybe the Giants.
There's one that sticks out in my mind. I'm wondering if you say him. I'll let you keep going.
Maybe Buccaneers.
That was the team I was thinking of because
Yeah.
I'm like they lost Mike Evans. I think they're still going to be trying to compete because their division is still not the greatest. The other team I was thinking of, well, there's two other ones. One I think will add a draft day wide receiver, and that's the Saints because the Saints need another guy other than Olave, and Tyler Swift played really well last year. The other one I was kind of thinking of, but he just doesn't fit the timeline, is going back to Tennessee. Tennessee needs a wide receiver. They do have a fair amount of room to add to their offense. He would be the number one guy, clear and right out of the gate. Cam Ward needs a receiver one. I just don't know if he would be willing to have a year or two to get up to speed, like for the team to get up to the level of making the playoffs, or if he's at the point of his career now where he decides that I want to go to a team that's contending or at least making the playoffs. But does he get that choice? I don't know. I mean, AJ Brown is, let's see, he's 28, which is not extremely old for a receiver. He'll be 29 before the season starts. So 29 isn't crazy old for a receiver. He'll still have a couple more prime years left as long as he stays healthy. It'll just depend on. I don't think he gets a say in where he goes, but he's a very vocal receiver when things don't go his way. So if I don't think that he'd be happy at my organization or with my team or with my QB or whatever it is, I would not go after him because I'm not trying to create unnecessary locker room drama when there's none present, even if it does add an 1,000-yard receiver to the organization.
Titans are an interesting pick, but I believe a win now team goes after it because they feel like AJ Brown is the piece and they're willing to put up with that kind of attitude of wanting to get more so they can go win a championship.
Yeah. I think that those teams, though, aren't going to put up the same amount of capital to receive him. While they may be willing to deal with the locker room drama, I think the Eagles are going to have a high price tag on him. And they're not really going to consider the locker room drama as a negative because they've had to deal with it and they won a championship dealing with it. So I think that they put AJ Brown's value too high for most of the contending teams. And I don't know if a lot of those teams that are not contending are going to be willing to add him.
I think the price will end up not being as much as we think it is.
I think a first is included, and I don't know if people trade that.
Yeah, I think it goes down to a second. I think a second
for a career. Every year he's been in 1,000 yards.
Well, yeah, I think there's a value dropping to where I think it wouldn't be too surprising if it's a second and a late round pick.
I think the Eagles would require more than that.
We'll have to see. I think a lot of it is the Eagles may just want to start a new chapter. So that's why they accept something surprising to what people may expect.
I don't know if that's necessarily something you want to do, though, when he's been so successful with the team.
I don't know. It's tough with the NFL trade market. I think there are a lot of different things going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a wait and see sort of arrangement. Maybe we include a trade like that into our draft predictions because trades do come in, and next week is the NFL draft. So the NFL season starts to ramp up a little bit with the draft. It's a little bit exciting, and we can kind of sort of prepare with the rosters mainly laid out at that point.
Yeah, we will have to see. So it will be interesting, and yeah, the NFL draft will cause a lot of comments and some video ideas. So we will keep you updated on that. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.